Hi and welcome to Inside Line. I'm Matt Campbell and this week I'm joined by Andrew McLean. This week will be our last Inside Line episode for 2013, so we've put together a few of the best dashcam videos for our final internet burnout of the year.
Oh, there we go. Got some nice drifting going on. Oh, drift all the way down. Double points. That's how you turn left right there.
Some spectacular driving in challenging conditions there, Andrew.
Wow, there was some great driving there. That guy in the Subaru WRX was lucky to get away with that, but the truck guy, that was amazing.
I know, that's Ken Block, eat your heart out, right?
I think that's Ken Concrete Block.
Yeah, exactly right. But obviously, that's kind of the opposite of the conditions that we'll be experiencing over our holiday break. But, it does make you think about how you should behave on the road over the Christmas break.
Absolutely. I mean, a great reminder that the holidays are coming up and that the roads will be more congested than usual, and particularly out of town and all that sort of stuff. So it's a great time to remind everyone to take safe care on the roads while you're on holidays.
Yep, obviously do those pre-drive checks as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Now, to look back on the year that was, we saw the Mazda 6 take out our Car of the Year award for 2013, but there were other cars that made our personal lists of favourites. What was your top car of 2013, Andrew?
Mine is unfortunately completely unattainable. I loved and had the privilege of driving the SLS Black Series a couple of times this year, and it is mega. It's epic, it's dramatic, and it feels like a race car for the road. You probably couldn't live with it, and for $600,000, you'd have to be pretty rich to buy one. But, it is a mega car.
I guess you could always settle for that $75,000 A45 AMG.
Yeah, and that's great, because at the other end of the AMG scale, they've halved the price of what their entry was with the little first hatchback that they've created, and it has all the hallmarks of the AMG line throughout the DNA of the car. It's a ripper of a little thing.
There are other cars that maybe we don't consider to be the best in their class, that some of them have just got charm. Like, I found the Fiat Panda to be one of the most charming cars of the year.
Yeah.
Not particularly good in any particular manner, but it's just one of those cars that make you smile.
You like your quirky little stuff though, don't you?
Yeah, I know, and I do like that Fiat 500 Pop as well.
Yeah. But it has been a great year for cars. There's some really good value family cars. Holden's done an amazing job with the VF Commodore and the improvements that it's made to the Aussie car. HSV with the GDS, a 430 kilowatt super sedan for half the price of its Euro rivals. We've had some really benchmark moments and milestones this year.
And of course, you can't forget that new hot hatch bargain, the Ford Fiesta ST.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's been some fairly fantastic cars throughout 2013, but there's also been some pretty amazing moments in terms of news this year.
Yeah.
A few big ones. Ford and Holden obviously telling us that they're going to shut down their manufacturing. It was obviously one of the biggest themes of the year, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a massive watershed year, particularly here with the spotlight on Australia, and Ford and Holden announcing that they will close down their manufacturing in 2016, 2017. Now puts the pressure on Toyota, which may follow suit, may be forced to follow suit. And this will sort of dictate the climate from an economic point of view and a community point of view.
Exactly, and there were other rocky road moments for the economy, and particularly the change of government with the FBT problem there.
Yeah, that was a bit of a Ruddism of epic proportions. Obviously, just thinking on his feet, as he's been accused of doing in the past, and it ruptured the car industry for a couple of months, and the coalition obviously came in and put it back to status quo.
Yep.
And the local car industry in particular has had a rough ride.
It sure has, but still on track for a record sales year. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's it's handling itself pretty well, really.
Yeah, and that's obviously we have more car brands, more models of cars, and probably at better value than we've ever had over the last 20 or 30 years. So people are buying new cars in droves. It would have been interesting to see if that number would be greater if that FBT spike hadn't been there and the uncertainty of election, but I'm sure we'll be in for a record year come January 1.
And Toyota Corolla to take it out, hey?
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty much in an unassailable lead right now. So
yeah. Well, that'll be good. It'll be good to see, Toyota, Australia's number one importer, as well as, the number one selling brand, to finally have a number one selling car as well, because they have never done that before.
I know, that's an amazing stat that we just sort of, stumbled across. They've, literally dominated this market for the last decade, being the top selling brand, but have never had the top selling vehicle. So I'm sure there'll be champagnes popping all around Toyota dealerships in the next couple of months.
And probably in Japan as well.
I would say so.
Yeah. That's about it for this week and for 2013. We'll be back early next year with all the latest news and reviews. But until then, happy holidays and safe driving.